Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be taking on Director Schmector. I kind of stumbled upon him once before and was way underprepared, so I kind of got my butt whooped. Since then I've been kind of scared to take him on again, but now I'm quite tooled up and more experienced in the game, so hopefully I can kill him this time. Let's have a look at some of his stats first of all. He's got 4,000 health, which is actually less than a Wasp Queen who has 5,000 health. The fight has 4 stages. In the first phase, he has no damage resist, 20% in phase 2, 50% in phase 3, and 70% in phase 4. He's 25% weak to sour and 25% weak to busting. He's resistant to fresh, spicy, slashing, chopping, explosive, generic, and stabbing. He also has 5 immunities: bleed, gas hazard, poison, venom, and shock damage. So it's pretty clear the most effective weapon to use is a sour busting weapon. The Black Ox Hammer is the highest tier busting weapon, so if we upgrade that down the sour route, it should be quite effective. I'm also going to try a sour Club of the Mother Demon. He's resistant to generic, but since the base damage of this weapon is so high, it should be quite effective still. I'm going to duplicate these weapons before taking them down the elemental routes. The Black Ox Hammer costs 2,500 to duplicate, while the Club of the Mother Demon costs 5,000 to duplicate. Both of mine were already upgraded to level 5, so they cost a little bit more. I think the level 5 Club of the Mother Demon cost me 5,500 to duplicate, so I assume that the level 5 Black Ox Hammer cost me 3,000 to duplicate, but I can't really remember. So after duplicating them, you can take them down the sour route. Next we need to find Director Schmector. I will say here that you cannot get to Director Schmector without Wendell Tully, so make sure he's following you before you set off. You can find Director Schmector inside Moldorc's castle. To get there we'll have to build it a little bit. I like to use clay since you can keep it in your backpack rather than carrying it around on your shoulder like weed stem or grass, but you can use whatever you want. The most efficient way I found was by climbing down here first and along this stick to get into this stone thing. From here we can start building. Half clay foundations are probably the most efficient choice since they only require 2 clay pieces. Make sure you've got your mint mace ready because there are a lot of tiger mosquitoes around here and they will attack you. You can climb on the rocks themselves for most of the way. There's only a couple of places where you actually need to build. To get to Moldorc's castle this way, you only need 12 pieces of clay. I've seen some people building from the outer wall in, but I don't think it's as efficient. You definitely need more materials to do it that way. Once we get to the top, we're going to head to the right and go straight up these stairs. Up here, there's a button on the wall, and if you hit that with a tier 3 hammer, he'll speak. There's some raw signs in here too. At the top of the castle there's a scabby piece, and of course more mosquitoes. And if you jump up here, there's a milk molar too. And you guessed it, more mosquitoes too. There's also a little flag here that you can raise for some raw signs, which never used to be here, so I'm assuming that they've added this in the new update. From here, you can float down on a dandelion tuft into this cage to get a gold milk molar. So, back to Director Schmector. If you come back to the bottom of the stairs and head inside his mouth, there's some gunpowder lying over here, and then there's a hole in the floor over here. If you head down this hole, you can float down with another dandelion tuft to the top of the lab. Before you enter the lab, head up this stick and along these rocks to unlock the way out. This is also an easy way to get back in if you need it. Down here there's a milk molar too. You'll need to talk to Tully before you can enter the lab. he gets Burgle to unlock it for you.
Suspicions were correct.
Inside the lab, you've got a chest with some quartzite and marble in it, some ORC receivers, and over here on the table is a moldy note, which unlocks a recipe to summon the infected broodmother, the moldy hoagie. If you continue down this corridor, it will take you to the room where you'll fight Director Schmector. Take a moment to look around this room before you do anything. ORC Weaver Juniors are going to come out of those 2 doors by the entrance. Static balls are going to come out of these 4 things along the back wall and also out of the 4 top corners. Green lasers are going to come out of the left and right walls and move across the room, so the place you want to be is in that back left corner. The lasers can't reach you there, and you'll also be out of the way of most of the static balls. When you press the button, he's going to start talking for a while, and then he'll enter the room. Don't make the same mistake I did and spend a bunch of stamina swinging at the air because he's still in the middle of an animation. You also don't need to worry about peeping him since he is a one-time boss, so you'll automatically get his gold card when you defeat him. Try to get a few good hits in here before he charges up and releases the static balls from the walls. The lasers only start in phase 4, so you've got a while before you need to worry about them. My mutations are Meat Shield, Buff Lungs, Coup de Grace, Cardiofan, and Mithridatism. I'm wearing the roly-poly armor for maximum protection. I used the Spicy Staff for the ORC Weaver Juniors, even though they are weak to Sour. The reason I chose the Spicy Staff is because it offers area of effect damage, and so it's easier to kill them with this compared to the Sour Staff. The Sour Staff is not good against fast-moving enemies, which these are. Its projectiles are too slow and you need to be really accurate. The Spicy Staff proves quite effective against them. Most of the time, Tully is completely useless and more of a hindrance than a help, but in this fight he was actually quite useful. He blocked a few attacks from Schmector and other static balls. I don't know if it was just lucky that he happened to be floating there or if he always stays close to the player in the fight, because he did the same thing in the next fight too. Since the Blackhawk's hammer is a one-handed weapon, you can use a shield with it. I went for the Fire Ant shield, which proved really useful for blocking the static bolts. Whenever Schmector was out of range, which was more often than I expected, I used the Sour Staff on him. If you've seen my other videos, you'll know that I'm not the biggest fan of the Sour Staff, since every time I've ever tried to use it, it's been less than useless. But it worked really well here. Being an enclosed environment, the projectiles were able to ricochet around the room, causing extra damage to Schmector. He is also quite slow moving and often stays in the same place for long periods of time, which meant I could hit him quite easily with the Sour Staff's projectiles. I had built it up in my head for a long time that he's the final boss, so he's going to be crazy difficult to defeat. But he was actually really easy. He was the only boss that I beat first time without dying. I'm also really glad that I found a use for the Sour Staff, because honestly, it was getting to the point where I thought I was missing something. It just seemed like the most useless weapon in the whole game. I couldn't believe that it's tier 3. I couldn't believe that it existed at all. It was just terrible. So I'm really happy that it not only has a use, but it was actually very effective against him. Once you've killed him, the lasers and static balls will continue for a while, so just be careful. You'll get the Corporate Kickback mutation, whereby blocked attacks have a 5% chance to trigger an effect that will cause all melee attacks to replenish a player's life equal to the amount of damage they deal for 5 seconds. This is an excellent mutation. You'll also get the Ominous Data Disk, which gives you the recipes for the Sour Battle Axe, the ORC Disruption Bomb, Supreme Whetstone, and Supreme Plating. Because I automatically got his gold card, which happened to be my 20th gold card, I also got the Trapper Peeper mutation phase 1, which increases damage dealt when inflicting critical hits. So I went back and tried it all again with the Sour Club of the Mother Demon. Straight away, you can see it's doing a lot more damage than the Sour Blackhawk's hammer. The problem with this though is that it's a two-handed weapon, so I couldn't carry a shield. This meant I was taking a lot more damage, and as a result, I had to heal a lot more. It's also a much heavier and slower weapon than the Black Ox Hammer, so my stamina was running out a lot more. On top of this, all of Director Schmector's attacks inflict micro stamina, which decreases the player's stamina regeneration rate. Even though I had cardio fan equipped, I found my stamina was always running low throughout the fight. I love the power of the Club of the Mother Demon. This fight was a minute and a half faster than the Black Ox Hammer fight, but it just felt a bit more hectic. As I mentioned earlier, the Black Ox Hammer is much cheaper to duplicate as well, so it's probably the better choice. I did see a video on YouTube of someone defeating Director Schmector in under a minute on low mode with the Sour Club of the Mother Demon, so it definitely has its benefits, but for more average players like me, who still haven't mastered the perfect block yet, we need a shield, so I would still say the Black Ox Hammer was better for this fight. It's a personal choice though. Do you want a clean, longer fight, or power, chaos, and mayhem? I then realized that to make the Sour Staff, you need Pond Moss, which requires a Widow Dagger to harvest, which requires killing a Black Widow. Since the update, they've made Black Widows pretty difficult now, so I thought there might be some players out there who haven't killed one yet. In that case, I wanted to try out Sour Arrows in place of the Sour Staff. I also swapped out the Spicy Staff for the Spicy Coltana. I was using the Black Ox crossbow with the Sour Arrows. They were really good against him. They were taking his health down quite fast, even though he's 50% resistant to stabbing. They were also a lot faster than the Sour Staff, but I had the same problem with blocking. No shield. The Coltana was okay, it did the job, but the Spicy Staff is definitely better, because you've got the area of effect damage, so you don't need to be so accurate with it. Overall, I just wanted to show that you can kill him even if you haven't made the Sour Staff yet. So, in the end, he's not as big and scary as I thought. As long as you've got the right weapons and the right strategy during the fight, he's surprisingly easy. I definitely recommend killing him even though he's an optional boss, because the Corporate Kickback perk is incredible. The Sour Battle Axe is also an awesome weapon, and well worth it. And in my next video, you'll see just how great they both are. So that's it for Director Schmector. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, please leave a like and subscribe for more. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!